right? So one thing we know, the more things change, the more they stay the same. And one thing you should expect is that every year that rolls around, there's going to be changes to the rates that USPS charges for shipping. And you know, we have yet to see how that's going to impact the rate that we are having to charge buyers if you do buyer pay shipping, or how it will affect you if you do free shipping. But undoubtedly we will see some rate increases on eBay as well, and on other reselling platforms, and that will affect the bottom line, and it could also impact sales. Now, what is going to happen if they continue to make changes to the prices of shipping is more and more of that cost is going to have to be absorbed by the sellers. Now, look, if you're doing things right, then hopefully you have room to absorb those changes over time, because we're going to hopefully be sourcing better, sourcing higher quality items with more profit attached to them, buying low all the time, and making sure that we leave room for a significant profit so we can always factor in changes in shipping and keep our prices competitive. What's up, guys? I'm Josh. This is Bama Jaybird Resell. I'm glad to have you back with me today. By the way, if you haven't subscribed to the channel and you've been watching the videos, go ahead and take time to hit that subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, hit that notification bell, that way you'll know when I'm putting out new content. And that being said, let's go ahead and just talk about this a little bit. So like I said, USPS is going to be changing rates again beginning on July 1st. They're always going up. It's never, I don't remember ever hearing, hey, by the way, the price of stamps is going down, right? It's always a higher rate. And that, you know, we got to always be prepared for that. I feel sometimes like as resellers, people are always, and I guess it's the shock value and trying to create clickbait, but you know, it's like, oh my goodness, you know, they're raising rates again. But you know, we should be expecting this. This happens pretty much on a yearly basis, and you know, the costs just continue to go up. And you know, I'll say this: as expensive as USPS can be sometimes, and as frustrating as it is for them to raise rates, I'm glad that we have USPS, because the less competition there is in the market for shipping, the more we're going to have to pay most likely. Now look, if UPS is a better option for you, use UPS. If FedEx is a better option, use FedEx. Also, don't be afraid to go outside of eBay and look at things like Pirate Ship to see if the deal that they have on shipping is better than the rates that you can get on eBay. You know, as resellers, we have to be able to roll with the punches. We got to be able to adapt. We got to be able to take these things, to be prepared for these things, and form a business model that allows us to be successful despite these changes that are always taking place. So all that being said, I had a couple of things I wanted to address in this video besides the shipping rates. One of them, I had on a recent video, I was showing how I package CDs for shipment when I resell CDs. And I showed how I take cardboard and do a, you know, like a shell around them in cardboard, tape that down, and then put it into a bubble mailer to make them extra secure. And of course, the higher the value is, the more care I take, and I will make the change from using a bubble mailer to using a box. And I get good feedback on my shipping for my CD, so I feel good about the methods that I use. But one viewer did bring up the question because I was using my packaging tape to tape the cardboard down that I was putting around the CDs, and just mentioned how, you know, I could probably find a cheaper option. And I wanted to address that because one of the things that I'd like to be talking about in future videos are keys to success as a reseller. And I do think that cutting cost is really important. And the viewer made a really, really good point, because there's multiple ways I could be doing this that probably is cheaper than the tape that I was using. For instance, I could be using masking tape. I could have just a roll of like package tape, like for Christmas, like gift wrap tape or Scotch tape. There are things that are a lot cheaper that I could use just to tape that down long enough to get it into the package. And so I really appreciated the comment and the feedback, because it got me to thinking about how important it is to find ways all the time to be cutting our costs, because that's something that we really probably don't pay enough attention to. It's like we get kind of set in our way of doing things, and if we're not very careful, we'll completely forget to be always examining our routines for optimization and for cost-cutting measures. Now, I'll say this too, and I'll throw this out there. If you're trying to save money, another comment I had got was, you know, it was kind of a lighthearted comment from a friend of mine. about me using those expensive Walmart boxes. And, so well, we haven't moved up to those yet. And I will say, I know the boxes at Walmart will cost more than when you buy boxes in bulk. And so I'm not by any means saying that's the cheapest route. And in fact, I need to start on my smaller boxes going ahead and ordering those in larger bulk amounts. I had put that off for a long time because I was selling part-time and I didn't need a lot of boxes at one time. I was selling out of my house, space was an issue, and so I had to make the decisions that work best for me. But as you expand volume, guys, all those pennies, everywhere you save a few cents over and over and over repetitively through the year, you're going to add money to your bottom line. There's all kinds of ways, to save money, to cut costs, and thereby help to make you more profitable and more successful as a reseller. And like I said, one thing is to buy your materials in bulk. So look at that. You can go to places, everybody's got companies they like and companies they don't like. You can order online either through Amazon or maybe through Uline or Supply Hut. If you go online, there's just tons of services that offer these things. And some people have issues with certain ones and some have issues with others. I'm not telling you which one to use. Grainger is another one that is mentioned, and that oftentimes can be bought from locally. I will say this, if you can find a local supplier of packaging materials, if that's what they specialize in, you will probably get a much better rate by buying locally if you buy in bulk, because one thing you'll cut out is shipping cost. And shipping cost, I don't know about you, but for me, where I'm located, shipping cost is pretty high to have boxes and stuff delivered to my door. So when I do order boxes, I tend to order quite a bit so that I cut down on the average, cost per shipping for each box that I'm having delivered. But here's another idea, and I know people that do this exclusively. You can also get around having to buy boxes at all by going to various stores, grocery stores, Dollar Generals, Family Dollars, just any place where they sell products that come in pasteboard boxes. They usually break these down and they stack them up on carts, and they will either put them in the garbage bins outside, or they sometimes have carts where they have them stacked up and they'll roll them outside for recycling. And if you just ask, most of them are more than willing to let you have whatever boxes you want. And so I think it's Jaybird. I've heard him say that, he doesn't really source any boxes like new. He just uses recycled boxes, and that's a huge cost savings. I mean, think about it. If you ship 100 items out that require a box, and let's just say that your average box price is 70 cents because of all different sizes, 50 to 70 cents. That's $50 to $75 more that you hold on to for every 100 items that you package in a pasteboard box if you are sourcing free boxes. And so if you're just starting out, I would definitely suggest that you eliminate as many costs as possible, because you want to create liquidity, right? You want to have a liquid flow of assets, of cash that you can reuse to buy more goods as you're beginning. And the more you invest in supplies and different things like that, right, the less money you have to invest in inventory. So be careful about overspending at the start, especially on shipping supplies. But you can cut costs and other things too, like I said, by choosing different types of tape for different purposes, maybe masking tapes or different things. I would say this, like, so even with bags, I've seen people do this. I've seen people take, like, I use the clear poly bags to put my clothes in that have a seal, and then those go into the poly bags that I ship in. And they're cheap, they're relatively cheap, the poly bags I use. But I've also seen people who use a little bit more expensive bag. They use the Ziploc style ones to drop their clothes in. And what they do is when that item sells, they don't take that bag and put that in the poly bag, the poly mailer bag. They pull the item out of that bag, put that in the poly mailer, and then they reuse the zip bag over and over. And so I can see, though the cost up front is more in the long run, right? That could be a really, really good method for storing your items for sale and keeping them numbered. When you're buying your supplies, buying in bulk, like I said, is really important, but also where you buy from. Do cost comparison, because cost can vary greatly on supplies. There are things that you have to purchase. I will say this, like, I've got a good hookup not only for boxes but also for air pillows and different types of bubble wrap and packaging materials, like inside materials for cushioning. My wife works at a large county health department. She is a supervisor there, and the lady that does the cleaning, she's talked to her, and so she saves all that stuff for me, and I can get as much of that as I want. And they have regular shipments of supplies that come in boxes with air pillows, air cushions, all kinds of different stuff that I find very helpful for shipping, especially glass and ceramics and breakable items. And so make sure that you reach out. That's my point of bringing this up. Reach out to local office buildings, especially large buildings. See if you can find someone or a hookup there where you can pick up some of those items from them. You may be surprised at how much that you can have donated from local businesses, from friends and neighbors. Let people know what you do and the kinds of things that you can use. You may not be comfortable going to the stores or digging in the trash bins like some of us have done, but do what you can to acquire whatever free materials you can acquire. And then when you do have to buy things like, bubble wrap, go to places like American Bubble Boy, where you can buy in bulk for a much more discounted rate than what you get off of the shelf at Walmart or a Costco or a Sam's Club or something like that. All right, so I guess that's about all I have for you today. I just wanted to throw in a couple of things there. Of course, the shipping rate changes, that's a big deal right now, but also just to give you a couple of things to think about. I really appreciate those comments, guys. I always love the feedback. I'm working on a video as well. I'm getting my act together on it, kind of sketching out my plan for how to approach the video to show y'all how to read the care tags on Levi's so that you can maybe do a better job at dating them, and maybe when you're out there on the hunt, have a better and more clear idea of what it is you're looking at and how old it is and whether or not it is worth picking up, okay? So I'm going to be showing you how to do that, and also for those in your collection, so when you're listing them, you can be more specific. I know care tags can be really confusing, and look, this is only good for probably the more modern. I say modern, but what we really mean is, Levi's from the 70s on. But at the same time, it still helps. And so I'm going to go over that with you probably next week in one of my first videos of the week. I'll probably do a couple of videos next week. So that being said, guys, hope everyone's doing great. It's getting close to the 4th of July, and maybe I'll get one more video out before then. But if not, just want to say happy 4th of July. I love Independence Day. I love all the patriotic holidays. My dad was a Navy vet, and I really respect and admire the military. My buddy Chad over at Reselling with Woody, shout out to him. He recently did an intro kind of commemorating the veterans as we're approaching this 4th of July holiday. It was a great tribute. Really appreciated that. The reading was awesome, man. That's all for today. Once again, want to remind you, I love you, God loves you, and whatever you do, guys, don't you ever give up. I will see you on the next one.